How's it going, NYCFC fans? Back at it with your boys, Alex and Juan Carlos. Unfortunate result this past weekend, 1-0 loss to the Houston Dynamo. But ultimately, this is another game that NYCFC should have won, in my opinion. That was kind of a boring game. There was not a lot going on. Houston obviously got away with a really cheap PK, and it was an unfortunate situation because it was nonsense. It was so soft, and it pisses me off when refs are the determining factor between winning and losing games. You know, you watch it across every sport. They make a dumb decision, a dumb call, and they even went to VAR and still got it wrong. It's just, it really boils my blood, man. It really just pisses me off.
I mean, when they went to the VAR, it was contact. It was a really soft call, but there was contact. That's what they're looking for, though. They're looking for that contact, that little touch. They see a touch, it's a penalty. But, you know, blind eye, like, first sight, it wasn't, but then when you go and look at it slow motion like 5 times, of course they're going to call a penalty. But, you know, as you said, it was like a tough result. What can we do now? Move on.
I mean, how many times do we see exact moments like that happen across the pitch that don't get called, though? You know what I mean? Like, only because it's in the box does it get called, and only because the MLS is trying, like, you know, more scoring theoretically means more entertainment. And the thing about that is, you know, this happens across the world, honestly. If you go to Europe, you go to England, you know, they're all trying to just get more opportunities to score, make it more entertaining, more, you know, thrilling and dramatic. And you got to have a comeback. And the PKs have become such a big part, a big element of, you know, soccer in general. I'm not surprised they're calling these, right? It's unfortunate, but, you know, we'll take a look at some of the stats, take a look at some of the players and their performances and kind of what NYCFC did in this game that, you know, didn't really, you know, match what it did against LA. And, you know, it's unfortunate because, you know, or rather DC, when obviously 3-2 victory over DC. Yeah. So, you know, you're seeing the victory there. They didn't really follow suit. It just didn't look like their offense was in flow. And Talles Magno, you have some insight there into kind of what happened to him, and in terms of they just shut him down. They took him out of the game. And when you don't have when you have a guy that's playing in the 9 role that isn't a number 9 and they're taking him away, I mean, it's a recipe for disaster. So it's unfortunate.
I mean, yeah, like I said in my column, you know, the fact that the team went, you know, just like MIA, and the fact that, you know, they took off Sands from the midfield and they went, you know, they lost Chanel in defense and they had to put Sands in that position. You know, losing the connection between Keaton Parks and James Sands just, like, you know, takes away like everything from the game.
It definitely does. And ultimately, you know, we have to figure out a way to get more out of this offense. You know, Santi's been a tremendous addition, right? Like, he is a force. He's an impact player. His creation, his vision with the ball is unparalleled on this team. There's nobody else that has that type of vision, that has that type of flair. Maybe Magno, but again, he's playing out of position. NYCFC still needs to go find them a 9, and they still need to move Magno back to the left wing. Do you think that there's anything in sight regarding that? Because, you know, they got Ledesma, and that's confirmed now, but he's not a 9. He's a center midfielder. You could even say
no.
Cam. I don't even know where they're going to put him at this point.
Yeah. No, he's not. The fact that they got him, I think, is because from the season on, like, I think the team is going to be facing like 3-4 competitions every season, and you can't really be like burning out like Keaton Parks or burning out Santi. You know, he's a midfielder for that. You know, putting him in U.S. Open Cup games or like any other tournaments that like NYCFC takes part on. So, you know, when you need to like rotate, Ledesma's going to be there. Yeah, he's not going to be the solution for a number 9 because we need a number 9, right? But he's not going to be that guy to be like, you know what, let's improvise. Who knows? But yeah, he's just a variation in the midfield. But I don't know. We need to go after a number 9. And I think we have this month only, like April. I think April 24th or 26th is when the MLS like window for transfers like close. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess we will see what happens. But let's take a look kind of at what happened, the statistics of this game. So obviously, lineups pretty similar from the DC game. We got, you know, actually they played a 4-4-2 in this game, which is interesting. They changed the positioning a little bit, but they had Rodriguez kind of playing a little bit back and not playing so far ahead. So you have Magno and Rodriguez coined as the strikers per se. Pellegrino at left mid, who has been getting a little bit better as the season has progressed. He got subbed out in favor of Andreas Jason, and then you have Parks, obvious center mid. He's one of our focal points and one of our great players in the midfield. You have Alfredo Morales, who starts over Thiago, and then you have Gabriel Pereira at right mid, who gets subbed out for Ledesma, who made his first appearance. You have Damari Gray, Martin Sands, and Kufre, and then Barraza, obviously. It's funny because I watch Barraza play, and he scares the crap out of me sometimes, but he's solid. His positioning is good. That one goal against us, I think it would have been against DC. There was a goal that was just right, maybe it was offside. I forget what it was, but his positioning has been pretty solid. He kind of scares me because he doesn't have great size for a goalkeeper, right? His reach is not big. He's not tall. He's not that tall. He's not the perfect fit in terms of his frame, but neither was Iker Casillas. So you look at guys that are smaller, and it's okay. You can make up for it with really good positioning sometimes.
Yeah, it's all about the positioning, but again, I think overall, this whole game was bad for every single line. The fact that we got to interrupt, like I told you in the beginning, moving Sands away from that key position in midfield to help out Keaton Parks, and then not having the leader in defense to have Shanot in there to actually kind of orchestrate the order. Just pushed the team back, and that's why we saw that I think we had one shot on goal, and because the whole team was defending. You saw, I think, Thales Magno, you saw Santi Rodriguez, almost in defense at some point. So, when you disrupt the lineup like that, or the chemistry, there's not really much that you can do at that point, but, Yeah,
of course, when they're playing a high line and, you're kind of pushing, they're playing more aggressive and they're doubling Magno, it takes a lot of, you need someone else to be able to make plays happen. Of course, Santi theoretically is that guy, but Magno needs to be able to move within space. And the problem is when you're playing striker, the only space you have to move is between the center backs, right? You can't get behind the left backs or right backs, and especially if you have backs that are pushing up the field and being a part of the attack, that counterattack becomes so much more important. And when you don't have Magno, his speed, his vision, ability to get behind that back line, those center backs are staying back. They're not pushing forward. Those backs, those wing backs, are the ones that are going to push forward. So there are going to be openings there that you can exploit. And the problem is Pellegrini is not a fast player, right? He is more of if you're playing FIFA, he'd be more of an artist, right? He's more of he's going to make some through balls. He's going to, make some plays happen, but he's not a good finisher. He's not a good winger. And that's the problem, is that 4-4-2 is the safest formation, right? It gives you a lot of defense. It gives you a lot of protection on the back end. And it seemed like you said, they were playing more of a defensive game, but you have two strikers up there. And the problem is, they're trying to figure out a way, how can we get someone to play well off of Thales Magno? How can we get someone to complement him? And the problem is that Magno is not he can pass the ball, but he's not the best passer. He's always looking to receive. He's never looking to give it away. You know what I mean? And once he gets it, he tries to dribble through 4 or 5 guys. So when you have a player like that, of course, you reference the big ones. You look at Neymar, you look at Hazard, you look at some of the big guys from the past, and what they're so good at in the wing is because when they get the ball, they attack the line. They attack with speed and power and flair, and they take those guys 1v1. The problem is Magno, he tries to take on one guy, and then suddenly there's another center back in support there, and he doesn't get rid of the ball. So now you have your 2 guys on Magno, and he's not getting rid of the ball, and he's not going to win that battle. So the entire philosophy behind his game is wrong. He's not supposed to be there. We know that they're trying to force him in. They're trying to force a square peg into a round hole, as some coaches would say. And that is going to be the big, kind of destructive force behind this offense. And, that's going to be a problem moving forward. They need to get him back to the left wing at some point.
Right, unless, like I told you, I think privately, unless they're waiting for that Tati loan at Girona to expire and bring him back, and then, put him back in that left wing position, and then boom, problem solved, and, save some money. That's my wild guess. It's just, superstition, but we never know what can happen, But again, Thales Magno is really good. He's a great player, has flair, but not in the 9. I think, if anything, this game was stop trying, put Thiago Andrade in that 9 position, but just leave Thales Magno in that left wing. That's it. It's enough.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And it's not to say that our production when it comes to through balls and getting guys into offensive spots, we do that. Like, we've seen efficiency in that regard. We just haven't converted the chances at times. And Santi has been probably our best offensive player, and it's not even close. I'd say, like, he is the only guy getting into positions, finding himself in key spots. Of course, the finishing can always be better, but, the fact that he's even getting in those positions at all with guys who are just seemingly out of position is certainly a benefit. Now, the stats from this game, 15 fouls apiece, 4 yellow cards for NYCFC, obviously playing more aggressively on defense. They had 2 offsides, 5 corner kicks, and each team had a save. Of course, you see Houston has 9 shots, 2 on goal, and then NYCFC has 5 shots and 1 on goal. So, Houston offensively a lot more prominent. Their possession was less at 45% compared to 55% NYCFC, but we need, against New England, they're going to be going at us offensively. This is not going to be an easy one to win because, they just beat DC 2-1. They beat Nashville 1-0. They lost to LAFC 4-0. And then they beat Houston 3-0. So, you kind of see where they are right now, and they're winning the majority of their games. They're not winning like 4-0, and they did that 3-0 win against Houston. That was kind of an outlier. They got destroyed against LA. They barely beat Nashville. They barely beat DC. Right now, I think that we can win this game, but we need someone to stand up and convert those chances. When we have opportunities, can't let them go. You can't let them go. You got to convert. So who do you think is going to be the standout in this one?
For me, to be honest, I would like to see Thiago Andrade, give it a go, give him the start. Put Thales Magno back in the left wing. Put Thiago Andrade as the main guy, as a striker, and then, we'll see what happens, But, again, as of right now, and it's been like that for a couple of seasons, we're not the best team playing on the road. Something always happens. We come back to New York, we're 2 different teams. It might be the fact that we're traveling, they're coming back from training here, then they make, the travel, not jet lag, but it's also takes a tone on your body, you don't really get proper rest. You gotta you land or you get to the place and then you gotta train and prepare for the game, and then whatever the weather conditions also. So there's different factors that also don't really help you to have that chemistry or have that game preparedness when it comes to playing away games. So we'll see what happens. But again, hoping for the best, and if anything, a tie.
I mean, look, a tie is better than a loss. Of course, you want that win. I think that I'm going to say my standout for this one is going to be Keaton Parks. And I think that the main reason for that is because we have to stop New England's offense, and Keaton Parks is the guy to do that. He's the one that's going to cut those passing lanes. He's the one that's going to make those tackles, be an aggressor, and really help kind of shape this contest. And of course, we need someone to score, right? And you don't need, New England hasn't won all these games by a significant margin. All you need is one. All you need is one to win this game. But I think that Keaton Parks is, one of our best players, and he's one of our more consistent players. So I feel as though he steps in and makes an impact here. He had a yellow card last game, along with Tavon Gray and Luis Barraza and Santi. But I think that Parks really, maybe he gets a goal in this one. I don't know.
Of course. What do you think about the goalie situation? I think, there was 2 or 3 chances or situations where Barraza came really under fire against Houston Dynamo. And a lot of people are that mistake that didn't end up in a goal. For Houston, it's probably the factor to actually give Freeze a chance. Do you see Barraza starting the next game against New England? Do you think it's enough of a mistake for us to be hey, you know what? I don't trust Barraza anymore. You played as a goalie, so you know that those type of situations make and break your streak under at goal.
It's a good question. Look, playing goalie is all about confidence. And if you aren't confident, you are going to make mistakes. If you go into a moment and you're not sure about it and you're not 100% confident, you're going to mess up. I can guarantee that. So when it comes to Barraza, I'm not really worried about his confidence. To be honest with you, I'm more worried about his athleticism. You know, I think that he is not the best athlete. I think that he is a fine goalkeeper for the time being. I think that he's a good reserve, a good second choice. It might be a hot take, but I mean, look, Sean Johnson is an athletic goalkeeper. He's one of the best goalkeepers in the league, right? Objectively. He's an athlete, man. I mean, you see some of the saves he makes. The problem is, I think Barraza, what makes him good is his positioning, right? He makes up a lot for what he doesn't have as an athlete and his IQ as a goalkeeper. The problem is, he's not the great when it comes to service. You know, you watch some of the best in the world, Alisson, Ederson. What are they so good at? They're good at service. They can pinpoint a kick 60 yards downfield right on a pin. You know what I mean? Barraza isn't going to do that for you. And the thing about it is that there are some, I personally feel as though they will go in a different direction at some point. I think that it will probably be within the next 2 months or so. I think they're going to continue giving him the opportunities. But look, to be a professional goalkeeper, you need to be consistent. You know what I mean? Consistent every game. You can make a mistake every now and then, but everything else has to be very good. Like you see Alisson, you know, a couple of weeks ago, he gave up that ridiculous goal. Courtois, whiffs a kick and Salah puts it home. You brush it off because Courtois and Alisson are consistently great every other game. You know, we're going to see right now, is Barraza going to be that consistent player? Is he going to be consistent every game? Or is he going to make a mistake every game? Is there going to be a moment where you say, you know, that was not good. Oh, that was not ideal. Like, are you worried? Are you scared? That's when you start to think, okay, like, you know, if you're not confident in your goalkeeper, you can be sure as hell he's not confident in himself. So I think that positioning-wise, he's great. I think that's what makes up for a lot of his weaknesses, but I think that eventually you're going to have to go find an upgrade there because think about it. He was our backup, right? I think Sean Johnson was the starter, and if he was still here, he would be the starter.
Exactly, but then again, that's the thing. Johnson developed into the goalkeeper he is right now because he had like 3-4 seasons like at goal. Like, yeah, he made mistakes in the beginning. He was like also like had his flaws and still has some flaws. And, you know, but the fact that you say consistency, and I think it's still too early for like someone to be like, hey, he made a mistake. Like, again, like you said, he's not really physically the best or the most adequate at goal. But again, if you're going to be like, he made 2 or 3 mistakes, we need to go and find an upgrade. Like, you're never going to see that progress. I think you're going to you have to give him more time. Yes, of course, it was a really tough mistake against Houston, but he made a pretty good save towards the end. We would have lost 2-0. And then that little moment where he came in the last minute of the game, half field for to block that shot or to cut that counterattack. I still think, for me personally, I still back Barraza for a couple more games, half a season. I say after the All-Star game, give him until the All-Star game, the All-Star break, make or break there, but give him time.
And by no means am I saying tomorrow, next game. Like I said, two months.
No,
I'm saying in 2 months, if he's being a little bit inconsistent and we're not really sure and there's some mistakes littered throughout and, and he gives up a couple goals that are, maybe his fault, then we have to consider, what a change might look like. But yeah, you make a good point though. Sean Johnson took a very long time. He was not very good when he first started. So he got better as time goes on. And goalkeepers, the longevity in there for goalkeepers is significant, right? You can play goalie until you're 40 years old, and Sean Johnson's 33 and Barraza's 26.
Buffon.
Buffon's still, the guy's going to be in a wheelchair soon. He's still playing. So, you can see, obviously, that players, goalkeepers can play a very long time. And Barraza's only 26, and he's very young. So there's time to grow. 26. There's time, experience ultimately is the best friend of a goalkeeper. You need consistency, but the problem is it's also a thankless job, right? As a goalkeeper, you make a great save, people forget it in a second. You give up a goal, it's all your fault. You know what I mean? It's hard to stay confident as a goalie, very hard. So, that's going to be my biggest, kind of focal point when it comes to Barraza. How confident can he be when he makes mistakes? After he makes mistakes, can he bounce back? Can he make a big save? Can he save a penalty kick at the end of a game? These are all things that are going to pop up at some point in time that are going to happen. They will happen to you as a goalie, we're going to see how clutch he can be. Because, like, think about, like, Lloris, right? Lloris, one of the best goalkeepers probably in the history of the game. French goalkeeper, started in the World Cup. He's one of the worst goalkeepers at saving PKs in the world. The guy can't save a PK for his life, right? That's why France lost the World Cup, because he can't save PKs. And also, Martinez is a monster, but that's another story. I mean, but you see the psychology of all of it, though. You know, when you are in those big moments, we're going to see if Barraza has that quality. Can he be a clutch goalkeeper, end of a game, like Martinez, make that kick save to save the day in a playoff match? Can he save a PK down, you know, up 1-0 in the 85th minute to stifle an opportunity? That's what's going to happen. And if he can't convert those, the concern grows. Like, do we need someone who can do that? You know, do we need someone who can be that clutch factor for us? That's not to say he can't be, because I think that, you know, we haven't seen him in those opportunities yet. We haven't seen if he can or can't do that. So best case scenario, he can. And we're sitting here like we have our solution for a very long time, right?
Right, of course. There you go. Exactly. That's what I was thinking as well. It's like, what, it's 5-6 games, and we have, like, we play until November, I believe. So we have a really, really long time. So we'll see. I trust him. Yeah,
no, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for sure. There are some athleticism concerns that I do have in terms of his reach and whatnot, but his positioning is good. I'd like to see maybe just some more confidence on those clearances and just, like, you know, service. But overall, I've been fine with his performance. They've only scored most games. He's given up none or one goal, and then, you know, of course against DC they give up 2, and not entirely his fault.
Yeah, no, like, again, yeah, exactly. Not really exactly his fault. Something that he did as a goalie for them to, for those goals to, like, happen. But, like, again, give him time, and I'm confident he's going to grow into the goalie that I think he is. You know, that quality that he has.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, 26 years old is young. You know, Sean Johnson, 33. It's taken him a long time to get to this point. So it depends how willing NYCFC is to stick with Barraza if he struggles. You know, are they willing to suffer through some cold streaks if he does have a couple of mistakes and the confidence goes low? But the thing for a goalie is, like, you could make 2-3 mistakes and then you make a nasty save and your confidence is right back. You know, that's how it goes. It's an up and down game when you're a goalkeeper.
Yeah, exactly. What if he makes, like, 3 saves or, like, 1 critical save against New England and then he's a hero? He's going to forget that we ever talked about, or any other podcast, like, talked about his performance against Houston, you know?
I mean, look.
So, yeah.
They only scored because of a PK. The mistakes, look, the mistakes don't matter if the goals don't count.
He went the right way as well. He went the right way in that PK. So, like,
it is what it is. Yeah, we'll certainly see what happens, but we're looking forward to this game. Hopefully, you can come up with some big saves against New England, a formidable opponent, to say the least. But, guys, I'd love to hear your perspectives below in the YouTube comments. As always, we appreciate you tuning into the latest NYCFC Fireside episode. Juan Carlos, appreciate you, my friend, and we're going to be looking forward to hopefully getting a win in this next game and hopefully a lot more positive stuff to talk about.
There you go, exactly. So we'll see you next time, all right?
Make sure to like and subscribe as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.